Hey guys, Steinixos here. So today we'll be discussing how strong a Wano Zoro is. Now, I won't really be focusing on numbers, I'll instead just be establishing hierarchies, and I'll mainly be focusing on attack potency, given that is the bulk of the information we got from the Wano arc. So with that said, let's get into it. Now, a post-time skip Zoro is actually a pretty troublesome character as it relates to scaling, and that is because for the majority of the post-time skip, Zoro has basically had no challenges whatsoever. Like at Fishman Island while Luffy was having a heated battle with an overdosed Hordy Jones to the point that he needed a blood transfusion afterwards, Zoro was literally just one-shotting an overdosed Hyozu. And then to make matters worse, he was even trash-talking Hyozu from literally the start of the fight to its conclusion. Then on Punk Hazard while Luffy was having a semi-serious battle with Caesar Clown, Zoro was literally just chilling out watching Tashigi fight against Monet, and then after getting bored of seeing Tashigi throw the match, Zoro doesn't even really try to fight Monet, but rather with a single feint attack, Zoro scares Monet so much that she loses control over her Logia powers and is unable to maintain her form. And then he just walks away, allowing Tashigi to finish Monet off. And then following this at Dressrosa, while Luffy is literally fighting Doflamingo for his very life, Zoro on the other hand is casually slicing up Pika's giant form. And then after Pika stopped running and infused himself with Haki, which he says supposedly made him invincible, Zoro just quickly reminds Pika that he's actually fodder by casually one-shotting him with no discernible struggle. Like Zoro thought so little of Pika as an opponent that his main concern after the fight was just confirming that there were no nicks or scratches on his blade. Like again, Pika literally only existed as a big beating stick for Zoro to test out his armament Haki. And then we know that Zoro did not do any real fighting on Zou apart from a small clash with Carrot, and he was not present for the whole Cake Island arc. So even though I could establish some minimums for Zoro before reaching Wano, it seems kind of useless given that everyone he fought were just so far beneath him. So let us instead jump right to Wano on Onigishima's rooftop where the supernovas begin their battle against Kaido and Big Mom. So on this rooftop, we saw where Zoro carried out 4 main attacks that are relevant to this video. The first of these 4 attacks from Zoro was his Purgatory Onigiri. Now remember, prior to going on the rooftop, Zoro one-shot Killer using this Purgatory Onigiri, completely knocking him out. And even though we don't have a specific frame of reference for Killer's durability, we know that Killer should be pretty durable given that he's Kid's second in command, and given that he was able to tank a direct lightning attack from Big Mom and continue fighting like everyone else, basically as if nothing had happened. And remember, it was an injured Zoro that one-shot Killer with this Purgatory Onigiri, and also at the time, he did not yet have Enma, and one of his 3 blades were replaced with a random sight that Killer had. Yet a Purgatory Onigiri from a healthy Zoro, and who now had Enma, and which was done in combination with a beheading claw from Killer, was not able to truly damage Kaido, though Kaido did seem to acknowledge the attack, given that it seemed to make his car throb. So at this level, which seemed to be a kind of warm-up for Zoro, he could not damage Kaido and thus was clearly inferior to Luffy, who, with advanced armament Haki, could now damage Kaido. So as the fight continued, we then saw where Zoro adjusted and began to draw out even more power, and so unleashed an even stronger attack known as Flying Dragon Blaze. Now in contrast to his first attack, this attack was so powerful that even Big Mom prompted Kaido to dodge the attack, which Kaido did. And then after this Flying Dragon Blaze, Zoro followed up by doing another attack called Dragon Twister. And this attack again, as we clearly saw, was able to do a clean cut to Kaido, which was clearly acknowledged by Killer and Big Mom. So just as Luffy with his initial Advanced Armament Haki Red Rock, with these 2 attacks, Zoro had now shown himself to be a combatant who from this point forward, we would expect to be consistently operating on a Kaido damaging level attack potency. But what does it mean to be at the level where you can actually damage Kaido? Well, remember, upon just entering Wano before learning Advanced Armament Haki, Luffy, even while in his strongest form Gear 4 and going all out, could not do any damage to Kaido at all. Like, to put this into further perspective so you actually understand what this means. Remember, this beginning of Wano arc Luffy is a Luffy who we know was acknowledged by Katakuri to be on his level and who eventually beat this same Katakuri. Yet this at least Katakuri level beginning of Wano arc Luffy could not do any damage to Kaido. So even though swords and punches have a different mechanism, the overall attack potency discussion tells us that this Zoro who can now damage Kaido has a greater attack potency than the beginning of Wano arc Luffy and equivalent characters to this beginning of Wano arc Luffy like Katakuri, who we know cannot damage Kaido at all. Now of course, Zoro's growth did not stop there, because in typical Zoro fashion, after being confronted with the combined attack from two Emperors of the Sea and somehow being able to block this attack for a short while for Law to teleport them away, which resulted in every bone in Zoro's body being broken, and which should have rendered Zoro completely immobile according to Law. In this state, Zoro was able to sum up all his remaining energy, which again should have been non-existent, and then temporarily unlock Conqueror's Haki to do a single max level attack, 9 sword style Ashura, Farce of the Dead. Now most people agree that hybrid form Kaido is Kaido's strongest and most durable form, and this Conqueror's Haki Ashura was able to not only damage this hybrid form Kaido, but it was even also stated by Kaido that the wound will scar. And again remember, the only other swordsman who was able to give Kaido a permanent scar was Oden, and that was in their match over 20 years ago. And there's no evidence to suggest that Kaido has gotten any weaker or less durable since his match with Oden. As a matter of fact, the prevailing thought is that Kaido would have definitely gotten stronger over these 20 years. So the worst case scenario for Zoro's attack here is that it was on the same level as Oden's attack 20 years ago, and the best case scenario for Zoro's attack is that it was way stronger than Oden's. So without a doubt, a max level Zoro's attack is at least comparable to Oden. Now after the rooftop, Zoro gets completely healed up with some Mink's miracle medicine and then goes to fight against King. Now being that King is a Lunarian, we know that he has a very high durability. After all, his race is said to be able to survive in any natural environment, but we also know that the specific physiology of a Lunarian's body operates in such a way that their durability is at its highest when the flame on their back is on, and their durability is at its lowest when the flame on their back is off. Now a lot of people misinterpret this statement to mean that King is not durable when his flame is off, but that is not what this statement is saying. Make no mistake, King is very durable whether his flame is on or off. All this statement is saying is that he is just less durable when his flame is off compared to when his flame is on. So in this fight against King, to accurately portray Zoro's growth, we'll consider King separately in both his flame off or flameless state versus his flame on state. But also remember, after Ashura on the rooftop, Zoro did not learn to use Conqueror's Haki infusion on command until midway in the King fight. So the Zoro that was fighting King for the first half of the fight was not the Conqueror's Awakened Kaido scarring level Zoro, but rather it was just the Armament Haki Kaido damaging level Zoro. Now this Kaido damaging level Zoro was just completely helpless against King. Like, you'll know that air slashes from Kaido are so powerful that even while Kiku was on guard, they were able to effortlessly cut her blade in two and cut off one of her arm. Yet Zoro was shown to effortlessly deflect these same air slashes from Kaido using just one hand. But an air slash from a flameless King is so powerful that even while Zoro is blocking it with two blades, he is still pushed back a considerable distance until Franky is able to stop him. And Zoro himself acknowledges just how powerful King's air slashes are. And again, from a flameless King, we see him doing his Imperial Deep Pride Stake, an attack so powerful that Zoro just straight up says that he could not block it. And when Zoro attacks this flameless King with Tiger Hunt, it is shown to be easily overpowered by this flameless King's Imperial Archer. And remember, in this clash of Zoro's Tiger Hunt versus flameless King's Imperial Archer, flameless King is using his own body to receive and clash against Zoro's attack, who remember we know is at Kaido damaging level. Yet this flameless King sustains no damage whatsoever. So from this exchange we know that a flameless King has an attack potency that is greater than the Kaido damaging level Zoro, who we know was greater than beginning of Wano arc Luffy and Katakuri. And this same flameless King that again is King in his least durable state, has a durability that is greater than beginning of Wano arc Luffy and Katakuri, given that he can receive attacks from a Kaido damaging level Zoro with no damage whatsoever. So given that this pre-awakening Zoro, even against King in his least durable flame off state, could not draw even a single drop of blood from King, Zoro then awakened mid-fight to be able to use Conqueror's Haki infusion. Now again, before we go forward, you have to keep in mind our frame of reference here. So our pre-awakening Zoro from Onigashima Rooftop has been operating on a Kaido damaging level using Armament Haki. So this mid-fight awakening with King signals a point of transition where Zoro is now able to use Conqueror's Haki slashes continuously instead of just on a one-off occasion when he pushes himself to the max, as was the case with Ashura. So this is the single greatest power-up Zoro received in Wano, because Zoro was now able to operate consistently not only on a Kaido damaging level, but rather closer to a Kaido scarring level. Now I say closer to rather than at a Kaido scarring level because when Zoro did Ashura, he said he put everything he had into it. So for the purposes of this video, I'll assume that no attack that Zoro does is at or stronger than the level he attained with Ashura. But of course, with this new power up that brings Zoro close to this Kaido scarring level, Zoro was now obviously able to hurt King in his least durable flame off state. So we saw this with his first Conqueror's Haki 3-sword style attack which remained nameless, then his bird dance, and then finally the attack which he used to end the fight, his King of Hell 3-sword serpent. 103 Mercies Dragon Damnation. So Zoro's Conqueror's Haki infused slashes, which brought him closer to a Kaido scarring level, undoubtedly allowed him to consistently hurt and eventually beat King while King's flame was off. But I'd just like to reiterate this fact here from a different perspective. That is, King, in his least durable flame off state, could not be damaged by a pre-awakening Zoro who was operating at Kaido damaging level. And then again, King, in this same least durable flame off state, was able to withstand 2 slashes that were close to Kaido scarring level before finally falling to the third. So again, King being less durable when his flame is off does not mean he is weak or not durable at all. All it means is that he's less durable compared to when his flame is on. But what about this most durable flame on state? Did Zoro ever reach to the point where he was able to hurt King in this most durable flame on state? Well, if you read through the fight, you'll realize that even with this Conqueror's Haki power-up, which brought Zoro closer to a Kaido scarring level, Zoro was never actually shown to be able to hurt King in his most durable flame on state. Like you'll note on the 3 occasions Zoro was shown to hurt King with Conqueror's Haki slashes, King's flame was clearly off, and Zoro himself seems to acknowledge that even with Conqueror's Haki infusion slashes, it is still useless to attack King while he is in his most durable flame on state. And I mean, yes, there may have been some indication that Zoro may actually be able to hurt King in his most durable flame on state. Like for example, even though Zoro did say that his Conqueror's Haki Purgatory Onigiri didn't do any damage because King was in his flame on state, I mean King did seem to completely dodge this attack, so I'm not sure if that dialogue actually gives us any useful information given the context. And again, we did see a dialogue between Zoro and the King while King's flame was on, where Zoro is asking King why he's blocking the Conqueror's infused slashes if his attacks aren't supposed to hurt. But again, King dodging and blocking Zoro's attacks was a behavior that King had throughout the entire fight, even before Zoro awakened his Conqueror's Haki. So that alone isn't enough to say that Zoro with Conqueror's Haki infusion would be able to hurt King in his most durable flame on state. And by the way, we can point out just how durable King's flame on state is using a 1-to-1 comparison with Kaido. So you'll know that a pre-awakening Zoro was able to cut through Dragon Form Kaido's scales with Dragon Twister, but yet this same attack from this same pre-awakening Zoro could not cut King's Pteranodon wings at all in his flame on state. So even without extrapolation, King's Flame on-state durability is unquestionable. But in summary, a Wano Zoro at base level or armament haki level can now consistently operate at a Kaido damaging level, which places him above characters like beginning of Wano arc Luffy and Katakuri, who cannot damage Kaido. Then, a mid-level or a Conqueror's Haki Infusion Zoro can now consistently operate at least close to a Kaido scarring level, which places Zoro even higher. And then a max level Zoro that goes all out can carry out a Kaido scarring level attack, which makes him at least comparable to Oden. So I'm hoping this clarified the level of strength of a Wano arc Zoro. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, then give it a like and comment down below. But anyway, see you guys next time.